I just have to giggle. It's not every day you open your computer and Slash is staring back at you. How
Hi,
are you? It's good
I'm
to see
good.
you.
Good to see you too. What's
It's good.
happening?
It's nice to meet you again. I have to tell you this. You would not remember meeting me. Several years ago, I met you a couple of times because you actually recorded on Drive Me by my husband's band State Line Empire whenever they did the Guitar Center.
Oh yeah, no, I
Yeah.
remember that.
Yeah, right. It was
And
super rad.
we ended up did you go to that session?
Oh yeah, I was at the
So you were
session.
okay, I remember. All right. Over
Yeah, and then you had the gig. Remember the Key Club? I don't even know what it is now, but
the Key Club, I was just gonna say.
yeah,
They've turned it into some sort of restaurant club kind of thing. I'm not really sure what's going on there.
not a rock and roll joint.
Yeah,
We need more rock and roll joints, not all the other stuff, the red
yeah, yeah.
carpety stuff.
We
Yeah.
definitely could use a new one around here, like a good new rock club. I took my dad to the Rainbow the other night and we shared Rainbow stories because he was a Rainbow alum as well.
Yeah.
And it was funny. I was like, man, this is the one long-standing rock and roll establishment in Los Angeles.
Oh, absolutely. I used to live a couple blocks from there. That was my old stomping grounds. I mean, the whiskey, obviously, and the Rainbow.
Yeah.
And, you used to walk into the Rainbow and see Lemmy as a staple, just sitting there, playing his video poker. And now he's got a statue there. So it's
The first time Lemmy and I ever met was at the Rainbow.
Oh, really? That's where you met him?
Well, he didn't know who I was and wouldn't have known who I was at that time because I was there with my girlfriend. It was very pre Guns N' Roses. But he came and sat down at my table when I went upstairs to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
He was sitting at my table talking to my girlfriend.
Oh.
And I came back from the bathroom and I was just completely stunned that Lemmy was at my table. So I scooted in the booth on the other side of her, right?
Right.
And then eventually Lemmy realized that three's a crowd and he got up and split. And she was like, why didn't you do something? I said, do you know who that was?
It's Lemmy. Are you effing kidding me right now?
Yeah.
I mean, look, if anybody's going to steal your girl, it would be Lemmy.
Right. But we met years, a few years later in London when Guns N' Roses was in London for the first time playing the Marquee Club before the album came out.
Yeah.
And we were invited to go to a Motorhead recording session. And Lemmy and I have been friends literally ever since then, all the way up until we lost him recently.
Yeah, of course. What a heartbreaking moment, I'm sure, for you. Heartbreaking for everybody, but he was a friend of yours.
He did move to right around the same part of town, like literally a block away, just to go to the Rainbow.
Yeah, of course. You got to be able to walk there. He practically had breakfast there. Are you kidding? I love that. It makes me very nostalgic. I lived in Los Angeles for a long time, and that part in particular, and I do love it. As dirty and grimy as it is, it has a real charm to it,
Yeah.
And the whiskey as well. Well, I'm super excited about this new album. You have released 3 barn burner type singles off of this album so far. You're not messing around here with number 4.
Right.
And it's coming out. I feel like you chose San Francisco to celebrate because it's coming out February 11th, my father's birthday. Nice date there. But the next night, February 12th, you're going to be here at the Warfield again.
Warfield.
Yeah. So you're going to celebrate the birthday of this album.
Yeah. Which means we're probably going to play something off the record that we've never played before at that point. Because, we've got a handful of songs in the set now, 3 of which have been heard and probably 1 other one. But when we play in San Francisco, we're going to break one out that nobody's heard until the record came out. So it's cool.
That's awesome. We have something to look forward to that's a bit special just for us. It's funny with Myles Kennedy and the Conspirators. I've been kind of like a collect them all with interviews with you guys. I mean, I've interviewed Myles, I think, like 5 times. I consider him like an acquaintance at this point. He's such a nice guy. I talked to Todd and Frank. I haven't interviewed Brent yet, but I'm finally glad to be sitting down with you. I adore all of them. I mean, Myles is such an amazing human. Going back when you started this incarnation of your solo career in 2008, you had all of those artists on that first album, and Myles is such a special voice. I mean, I loved him in the Mayfield 4, like we're going way back. Right. But how did you connect with him? Was it because of Alter Bridge, or did you have some other connection with him?
No, actually, it's funny. It was sort of because of Mayfield 4, because when we were auditioning singers for Velvet Revolver, so we're talking 2003 or something like that, Myles's name came up via Matt. And I had no idea who he was. And he said, we should get in touch with this guy. So I called Myles on the phone and I talked to him, and he was going to come down and do an audition. We sent him music and it just never materialized for whatever reason. And so we moved on, right? So when, fast forward to 2010, I'm doing this record and I've got 2 songs left over that I have. I pretty much knew everybody who was going to sing on what song and all that, but I had 2 pieces of music that I'd never figured out who should sing. And I thought, well, what about that guy, Myles Kennedy? Because everybody just raved about him. I'd never heard him sing before. I contacted him and told him what I was doing. And he said, yeah, send me the music. So I sent him some music. And a couple of days later, it came back. And it was a song called Starlight. And I was working with Eric Valentine at the time. And I go, is it just me or is this like amazing? And he was blown away by it. So we flew Myles into LA, and when I met him, you just couldn't help it. You like the guy, right? Mm-hmm. He's such a laid back, endearing type of individual. So we recorded the studio version of that song, and then we did another song called Back from Cali. And at that point I was like, hey, I'm going to do a tour to support this record. You wouldn't by any chance want to sing on the tour? Because I had no real plans on how I was going to do that. It just popped into my head at that moment. And I knew he was an Alter Bridge, so I wasn't expecting a yes answer, but he did say yes. So that's when I hook up with Brent, and he introduced me to Todd, and we got this band together. But that was really how Myles and I sort of met. So there was a little bit of Mayfield 4 in there.
Yeah, there was a connection there.
I'd never heard Alter Bridge prior to.
Oh, okay. And Myles just has a very special voice. I mean, honest to God, Starlight and Back from Cali are probably 2 of my favorite songs of all time. They're on my running playlist. I listen to them every day when I run. I mean, Starlight, the vocals on that.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus, it gives me chills just thinking about it, not even hearing it. I mean, he's a special kind of guy. It's always stuck out to me about him. And I thought about you specifically because you were birthed in the debaucherous rock and roll era. Can I say that safely? Yeah. And now it feels like the trend or I don't know, the way things are is a little bit more healthy. It's healthy living. It's sober living. I mean, I've interviewed Kirk Hammett at Metallica, and he does yoga before every show. It feels very healthy. And I know that Myles is a very healthy human. So does he rub off on you in that way? Or do you feel like you're healthy or healthier because of maybe that relationship?
I don't think that really.
You're not easily influenced with the health.
No, I mean, I just do what I force myself to do just to sort of get, so yeah, I can't say that Myles and I sit down and actually talk about health stuff.
Yeah.
But all things considered, he does take pretty good care of himself.
He does. He really does.
So maybe it's a little bit inspiring in its own kind of way.
Yeah, I think so. What is, we know a lot about your life when it comes to music, but what is just like an average everyday day in the life for Slash? What does that look like? What time do you wake up? What do you do? What's your typical moment?
You know what? I get up actually pretty early, like not when I say early.
Like what's rock star early? That's different than like my early.
Early for me is probably 8:30.
Okay. That's actually pretty good. Yeah.
I haven't been able to sleep past fucking 8:30 or even 8 since my kids were born. They ruined it, man.
They really do. Kids do that, don't they?
God bless them, but they kept me up every morning for so long. I never could properly sleep in after that. Let's see. So I get up and I deal with whatever business stuff, go to the gym, and then go to either rehearsal or the studio or something, having to do with playing. Mm-hmm. And that's where I spend pretty much most of my entire day, and then come back. And like right now, because we're doing a lot of promo for records, so I've been doing international press at night when I get back from the studio, because you got like Asia.
Right. The time difference. Yeah.
Like that. But, all things considered, I just take care of everything that needs to get taken care of. But I do a lot of writing and recording throughout the day and whatnot.
Yeah, I can tell you've been working out. Dude, the most recent video that you released, holy cow, what's your workout specialty? Are you like a cardio guy, a weights guy, a yoga guy?
I'm a hate working out guy. No matter how long I do it, I still can't seem to sort of get it out of my head.
Yeah.
I hate it while I'm doing it. But anyway, I just I do sort of like a combination of cardio, weights, whatever,
Whatever you can talk yourself into doing that day.
Yeah. Like I love I hate to even say it, but I have to say the Peloton is probably the best new sort of workout tool that's come along, because I'm partial to bikes anyway, because I used to.
Okay.
And so it's great because I can kill half an hour, 45 minutes on that thing and actually have music. And so that's sort of good.
Music is key to working out no matter what you're doing, without a doubt. I can't run without it. If my headphones go dead or something, I just stop in my tracks.
I couldn't imagine, because then I would just get too into my head.
Totally.
And that's what convinces me to quit early or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, you're like, and I'm
like, don't I have something else from the universe? Yeah.
I totally feel you on that. I mean, you've done it all. I mean, we know that you've had such a phenomenal career, and it's such a level of success, but you do stay very, very humble. And I have to give you mad props for that. But I'm just curious, we just came out in the new year, obviously, and a lot of people make goals or lists or resolutions or whatever. Do you set professional goals anymore in particular? I mean, do you have like another bar you're trying to hit? I can't imagine what that would be, but do you do that?
I mean, it's never been like a bar that you're trying to hit. You just sort of do whatever it is that you want to do in the moment. Mm-hmm. I don't have like big lofty goals or, it's always been like, okay, well, the most immediate thing was like, well, I want to get into a band and actually play a gig,
Yeah.
And then now that we're playing some gigs, I want to play some more gigs. And then eventually you can write some songs, collect all those and then make a record. And you're just chasing the next step. Yeah. And that's all I'm doing now. It's like working on as a guitar player, it's coming up with different ideas and getting with the guys and recording, what we got, and then going and looking forward to going on the road. Pandemic has been a real pain in the ass because it turned all that stuff upside down. And it made you have to work that much harder at doing what you like to do. But that's all right. Whatever, bring it on.
Makes you more creative, right?
Yeah.
Creativity comes out of necessity sometimes.
That's all it is really just trying to please yourself in the moment. And obviously you're just trying to do the next step from what you already did. You don't want to repeat yourself. So that's the sort of ongoing process.
I love your process for this album. You went and you did it live to tape. Like you guys went in the studio and you just went balls to the wall. I love the energy when bands do that. There was a really big chunk of time where everything was so perfect and the edits and the, clicks and everything was so formulaic. Yeah. And the energy you feel as a consumer of your music. But also I imagine the energy for you guys in the studio is completely different beast.
It was a blast. Cause like we've always recorded live in the studio, as far as we go in there and everybody plays together and we cut the song. But I always hated headphones because they just sound like crap. And I never trust my playing through that kind of tonal issue. Yeah. So I would always go back in the studio and redo the guitars in the control room. What I always wanted to do though was just set everything up in the studio like we would at a venue and record it like that. And no producer would ever do it. And as we get further into the sort of technological millennium, like where we're headed, it gets farther and farther away from being a possibility. But when I was setting up to do this record, I was introduced to Dave Cobb, and in our phone conversation, he goes, man, I always love to imitate the way he talks. He goes, Slash, I want to do a live rock and roll record, just like Glenn Johns. And I was like, yes, that's what I want to do. Anyway, so we took a tour bus out there and just set up in this great room at RCA Studio A. And Dave hung out in the room with us and we just played the songs. We went in loose. We didn't have the arrangements all rehearsed and stuff. So we put the song together in the moment and then recorded us playing it like that. And we did 2 songs a day for 5 days. And that was pretty much the whole record. We had to do some background vocals and, but we had the lead vocal live with everything else. Yeah. And it was so liberating, and you just keep, not everything's perfect, but you keep it because you have that sort of raw performance. And I think for rock and roll, that has been, it's amazing. Technology we can do some pretty fantastic stuff, but you can't use it all the time because people don't realize they're sucking a really important sort of human element out of it and doing that.
Yes.
So it was great for me to be able to do that and know that it can still be done, you know?
Yeah, yeah. It's so cool because it is the same energy you get from seeing a live show. It
Yeah.
comes through the speakers and your headphones, and
I think it's really important. Like a lot of the rock and roll records that people, that people still listen to this day, that stems all the way back to I'll go as far back as the 50s, but the 60s, 70s, even in the 80s, a lot of those really popular records were all recorded like that.
Yeah.
And that's why people love them. And so when we got into like all the amazing shit we can do with technology, let's say from the mid 90s all the way up until now, it's sort of been forgotten that that's an important element, and people forget that that's what's missing. They don't realize that's what it is.
So well said. It's so true. I know you're a big fan of music through and through, and going into the oldie, really good stuff. Do you make playlists?
I haven't done playlists. I mean, I've done them at request, right?
Okay. Oh, okay. DJ Slash. I like.
Well, no, but sometimes I'll get asked to do a playlist for Spotify, or I'll get asked to do a playlist for this interview or that interview. And it's fun because I'll put something together really cool.
Yeah.
But as a norm, I just dig through my CDs or, whatever I've got going on at the time and just listen to something, random that I'm into at the moment, and then put something else on and put something else on. I'm not organized enough to do my own playlist.
Yeah, I understand. Well, I have kind of a dark question. I feel like you're somebody who might not bat an eye at this. We'll see. So I'm a big playlist person because I'm a DJ. I'm a rock DJ. And so I make a playlist for everything. Right. I have made a playlist for my funeral. And I'm wondering, because you're into the dark and the macabre just like I am, have you ever thought about what music or song might be played at some memorial for you? I know it's dark. I know it's weird, but I'm just curious because I've never asked anyone that question.
No.
So I'm the only one. Great.
I've been close to that point enough times now, so I try not to.
You don't mess with it. I get it. You're like, I'm not even gonna put my toe in there. That's probably a good idea.
Let's not tempt fate, right?
Yeah. So I'm alone in that. All right, fair enough. So I do have one final question for you. Is my absolute favorite question, inspired by my favorite movie, Almost Famous. I don't know if you're a fan of that one, right. But in the last frame of the movie, the simple question, it seems simple, but it's kind of a tough one, that's asked is, what do you love about music? Oh,
that is a great question. I remember that in the movie. I think the thing I love about music is it moves me.
Yeah.
It affects everything that I do. It can change how I approach, my outlook on things. It can change my attitude for the better or for the worst. But it really is something that affects my whole person, and I love the energy, depending on what kind of music it is. But every kind of music has energy, and whatever it does, from classical music to fucking Gojira, whatever, it has, like the old saying goes, is fuck or fight, right? It just makes you do stuff. It motivates you. It carries you through the day.
Oh, so
and then there's a lot of other, descriptions for it and things that it does, but off the top of my head, that's a good one. That's off the top of your head. That's a good one. Nicely done. Well, congratulations. You're the first artist for Gibson Records, by the way, which makes perfect sense. You're like the Gibson guy. So the fact that this release is the first on theirs is really. Yeah, no, that was a surprise. I mean, I've been my own label since 2010. And this time around, I was starting to think who was going to be the sort of distributors for the different territories and all that. And I got a phone call saying that Gibson was interested in me doing sort of being the first release of their new label. And I hadn't heard word one about a label, and I'm pretty tight with Gibson. Yeah. And, I thought about it for like 3 seconds, and I thought, this is like perfect. There's got to be a catch.
Match made in heaven. Yeah.
And there was none. And they just wanted to do a label. We partnered to do it. So it's not just me signing to a label. We're really in this together. Yeah. And it's one of the only, of all the labels around right now, it's one of the only really purely music-based ones. It's not a big corporate conglomerate, and all that. And I know all the people, and I know where the integrity is at. So it's really been good.
That's super important. Well, we are so excited to see you here at the Warfield again. For all of our viewers and listeners, AXS.com to go snag your tickets. February 12th. Thank you for playing a Saturday night so I can go. I do the morning show, so I get up at 3:45 in the morning. So a Saturday night show is sacred. So thank you.
I'm glad I didn't try to go toe to toe with you with early in the morning.
I know when you said 8:30, I was like, half my day is done by 8:30, but no, that's actually pretty good.
I actually just was thinking the Warfield was where I first had my first relationship started with Gibson.
Oh, really?
He delivered 2 Les Pauls to me there in 1988 because I had to retire the guitars that I had because they were recording guitars and they were handmade and I beat the shit out of them. And I was like, I got to get like some sturdy, real new guitars.
Yeah.
And I called Gibson and they brought me 2 factory second Les Pauls and I paid cost for them. And that was the beginning of my relationship with.
What? It goes back that far. Oh, that's so cool. What a legendary, you talk about juju, like that's a legendary juju spot, the Warfield for us here in the Bay Area. It just doesn't get cool.
It always reminds me of that.
That's so cool. That was the second time I met you. Actually, I met you and Myles backstage at the Warfield. I don't even remember what year that was, like 2013 or something like that. Right. It's been a minute. Well, thank you so much for taking time with me today. I really appreciate it.
It's great to talk to you and see you. And I'm sure at some point I'll see you in person again.
Here's hoping. Yeah.
It lightens up a little bit.
Yeah, I know. Exactly. God willing. Right. All right. Take care. Thanks so much.
Cheers.
All righty. Bye-bye.